She pleaded for an open relationship, and when I said no, she still found her way into another man's life. 9 months later, she carries the proof of their affair. Be me, 31-year-old Benjamin. Living in Boulder, working as a marketing director. Coming home late one Tuesday evening. Job keeps me at the office longer than I'd like, but it pays well and Lisa has expensive taste. Finally get home, exhausted from another long day. First thing that hits me is this weird smell. Some kind of flowery citrus scent. Definitely not Lisa's usual perfume. Call out for her. Lisa? No answer. House is weirdly quiet. Usually she has music playing or the TV on. Walk into the living room. Stop dead in my tracks. See 2 wine glasses on the coffee table. One half full. Other one just has a red wine stain at the bottom. Stand there staring at them like an idiot. We don't drink wine during the week. Lisa doesn't even like red wine. Brain trying to make sense of this. Nothing adds up. Hear footsteps coming down the stairs. Lisa appears at the top, wearing some oversized t-shirt I've never seen before. Her hair is wet like she just showered. Face all flushed. Oh, hey, she says like everything's normal. My voice comes out sharp when I ask about the glass. Her eyes dart to the table, then back to me. Oh, that. Had a friend over earlier? Amanda from work, remember? Don't remember any Amanda. Never heard Lisa mention anyone by that name. You had a coworker over for wine on a Tuesday? She shrugs, trying to act casual. Can hear the defensiveness creeping into her voice. We're working on a project together. It ran late, so we finished up here. Why is that a problem? Feel something shift between us. Like the ground isn't solid anymore. Her response isn't just dismissive. It's deflective. Let it go because I don't want to argue. Part of me doesn't want to believe there's anything to argue about. Later that night when she's asleep, find myself back in the living room, staring at that wine glass again. That unfamiliar perfume smell is stronger here, clinging to the air like a warning sign. Something isn't adding up. Next day I come home earlier than usual, trying to shake off the unease from last night. Walk in and hear voices. Lisa's warm, familiar one, and a man's voice, low and unfamiliar. They're in the kitchen, their conversation punctuated by laughter. Step closer, staying out of sight. You're terrible, she says, all playful. You know I can't keep doing this. Then why do you? He replies, his voice dripping with confidence. Because I can't stop, she says softly. Almost wistfully, my blood goes cold. Step into the kitchen before I can think better of it. Lisa and this man turn to look at me. He's tall, fit, with this smug grin plastered across his face. She looks startled, but only for a moment. Then her expression shifts, becomes harder, colder. Benjamin, you're home early, she says. Like I'm inconveniencing her. The man doesn't move. Doesn't even try to make an excuse. Just smirks at me, like he's daring me to say something. Who the hell is this? I demand, my voice trembling with anger. Lisa doesn't even flinch. This is Andrew, she says matter-of-factly. He's a friend. A friend? I repeat, my voice rising. She sighs like I'm a child throwing a tantrum. Yes, a friend. You don't need to make a scene. Andrew chuckles under his breath. That's it. I see red. Get out. I snap at him. Voice low but dangerous. He raises his hands in mock surrender. All right, man, no need to get worked up. As he walks past me, catch that same floral citrus scent from the night before. Hits me like a punch to the gut. When he's gone, turn to Lisa, my chest heaving. What the hell is going on, Lisa? She crosses her arms, leans against the counter, completely unfazed by everything. You're overreacting, Benjamin. Andrew and I were just talking. Talking? I bark out. You think I'm stupid? You think I didn't hear you? Her face hardens. For the first time, see cracks in her facade. You don't know what you heard, she says coldly. And honestly, maybe if you weren't so damn predictable, I wouldn't need to have someone to talk to in the first place. Her words hit me like a slap. Feel the air leave my lungs. The full weight of her betrayal starts sinking in. But this is just the beginning. Stand there staring at Lisa, like she just morphed into a stranger. Her words echo in my head. Maybe if you weren't so damn predictable. Feel something break inside me. Anger, disbelief, heartbreak, all mixed together in a volatile cocktail. You're seriously going to blame this on me? I say, my voice trembling with fury. On me? I work my ass off for us, Lisa. For this house. For you. And now I'm supposed to believe this is my fault? She doesn't flinch. Doesn't even look guilty. Instead, she rolls her eyes. Like I'm some overdramatic teenager. You're making this into something it's not, Benjamin. I told you Andrew and I were just talking. You always assume the worst. I assume the worst because I walked in on you and some guy in my kitchen, laughing like it's some romantic comedy. While I'm out there breaking my back to keep this life going, my voice cracks, but I don't care. Her expression hardens, like a wall slamming down between us. This life, she shouts back, venom dripping from her words. This isn't a life, Benjamin. This is a routine. It's boring. You're boring. And I'm tired of pretending like everything's okay when it's not. Feel like I've been hit by a truck. For years, thought we'd been building something together. Something solid and lasting. Now she's telling me it was all a lie. What does that even mean? I ask. My voice quieter now. The anger giving way to sickening dread. Lisa hesitates for the first time, but it's not guilt in her eyes. It's annoyance, like I'm forcing her to explain herself. She grabs a glass from the counter, fills it with water, takes her time before answering. It means, she says finally, her voice calm and cold, that I don't feel alive with you anymore. Andrew makes me feel different. He reminds me of who I used to be before all this. She gestures vaguely at the house. At me, like our entire life together is just clutter in her way. Feel like I can't breathe. Are you hearing yourself right now? You're saying this to me. Your husband? She shrugs. See something flicker across her face. Something disturbingly close to relief. I didn't mean for it to happen, okay? But it did. And now I have to figure out what I want. Laugh bitterly. Though nothing about this is funny. Figure out what you want? You're married, Lisa. You made that choice. Or does that not matter anymore? She doesn't answer. Instead leans back against the counter. Sips her water, like we're discussing something as trivial as dinner plans. Clench my fists at my sides, trying to keep my emotions from boiling over. How long? I ask through gritted teeth. What? How long have you been seeing him? She hesitates again, just for a second. But it's long enough to confirm what I already know. A year, she says finally. Meeting my eyes, the ground drops out from under me. A year? I repeat, stunned. You've been lying to me for a year. Her face twists into a defensive scowl. It wasn't like that, Benjamin. Things with us were already falling apart. Don't you dare try to rewrite history right now, I interrupt, my voice shaking. We weren't falling apart, Lisa. We were fine until you decided to blow it all up. She rolls her eyes again, the gesture infuriating in its casual dismissal. You think we were fine because you never pay attention? I've been miserable for months, and you didn't even notice. All you care about is work, and you didn't care enough to talk to me about it? I shot back. Instead, you go running to some guy who makes you feel alive? Are you serious right now? That's when she says it. The words that would haunt me long after this conversation. I'm pregnant, Benjamin. I blink. Sure, I must have misheard her. What? Her voice is steadier now, almost rehearsed. I'm pregnant. And before you ask, no, it's not yours. The room spins around me. Feel like I'm falling, my world collapsing in on itself. What the hell are you saying? She sets the glass down, crosses her arms. I'm saying I need you to forgive me. For everything. For the sake of the baby. Stare at her dumbfounded. You want me to forgive you? You cheat on me for a year. Get pregnant with another man's child. And now you want me to just what? Pretend none of it happened? Yes, she says simply. Because I can't do this alone. Her audacity is staggering. My hands are trembling now. Heart pounding so hard it feels like it might burst. This isn't the woman I married. This isn't the life I built. This is a nightmare. And I'm wide awake. The words hang in the air, heavy and suffocating. I'm pregnant and it's not yours. Can't move, can't speak. My brain's stuck on a loop, replaying the sentence over and over, each repetition a fresh stab in the chest. Lisa doesn't look the least bit sorry. If anything, she looks annoyed, like I'm wasting her time, by not immediately understanding how I'm supposed to feel about this. I know this is a lot to take in, she says, her tone condescending, like she's explaining some minor inconvenience. But I need you to calm down, so we can talk about how we're going to handle this. Handle this, I say, my voice barely above a whisper, then louder with every ounce of fury I've been holding back. How we're going to handle this. Are you out of your goddamn mind, Lisa? She flinches, finally showing a crack in her icy exterior. Yelling isn't going to help, Benjamin. Oh, I'm sorry. Do I not get to yell after finding out my wife has been screwing someone else for a year? Got pregnant and now has the audacity to ask me to forgive her? My voice is shaking. Can feel the raw edges of my anger, threatening to spill over into something dangerous. Lisa crosses her arms, her face hardening again. Look, I didn't plan for any of this to happen, but it has. And now we have to figure out what's next. I laugh, but it's bitter and humorless. What's next? You've got to be kidding me. Start pacing, running my hands through my hair, trying to make sense of the madness unfolding in front of me. I don't see what's so hard to understand, she snaps. I'm asking you to forgive me so we can move forward. You've always been the stable one, Benjamin, the responsible one. I need that stability right now, for me and for the baby, the way she says it. So matter of fact, like I should feel privileged to clean up her mess, makes my blood boil. Stop pacing and stare at her, my eyes burning with disbelief. You don't need a husband. You need a damn doormat. Her expression doesn't change, She isn't apologizing, isn't begging. She's expecting, like my forgiveness is a foregone conclusion. Do you even care? I ask, my voice dropping into a deadly calm. Do you care about what you've done to me? To us? Her lips press into a thin line. I didn't want to hurt you, Benjamin. But things have been broken for a long time. Andrew, he made me feel alive again. I can't apologize for that. That was it. That was the moment the last thread of restraint snaps. You can't apologize, I roar. You think this is about what makes you feel alive? You destroyed our marriage. You shattered everything we built because you wanted a thrill. And now you want me to clean up the pieces? Tears well up in her eyes, but I don't buy it. There's no sorrow in them, only frustration that I'm not bending to her will. I'm trying to be honest with you, she says. That has to count for something. Honest? I repeat, almost laughing at the absurdity. You've been lying to me for a year. And now that you've run out of places to hide, you want credit for telling the truth? Her tears spill over. She turns her head away, her voice trembling now. You don't understand what it's like, Benjamin. To feel so trapped, so suffocated. I didn't mean for this to happen, but I needed more than what we had. Andrew gave me that. Feel sick, physically sick. Her words are like daggers, each one twisting deeper than the last. Want to scream, to throw something, to make her feel even a fraction of the pain she's inflicted on me. But instead, just stand there, fists clenched, heart pounding like a war drum. And what about him? I ask finally, my voice shaking. What's his plan in all of this? Does he know you're asking me to forgive you and play daddy to his child? She hesitates. And that hesitation tells me everything I need to know. He's not ready for that kind of responsibility, she admits, her voice barely audible. He said it's up to me to figure things out. Stare at her dumbfounded. So let me get this straight. You cheat on me, get pregnant, and now you want me to pick up the pieces. Because Andrew, the man who makes you feel so alive, doesn't want to deal with the consequences. She doesn't answer. She doesn't have to. Take a step back, running a hand down my face. Try to process the insanity of the situation. You know what, Lisa? You're right. I am predictable. Because I believed in loyalty, I believed in marriage, I believed in you. But you're a walking disaster who burns everything she touches and expects someone else to put out the flames. Benjamin, please, she says, her voice cracking. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean for it to get this far. I need you to be here. Here for me, for the baby. Look at her. Really look at her and see her for what she is. A selfish, manipulative woman who has no idea what love or commitment really means. And in that moment, I know, I'm not going to let her drag me down with her. Not anymore. The air between us feels electric, heavy with everything unsaid. Lisa stares at me, waiting, her expression shifting between defiance and desperation. She thinks I'm going to cave, thinks I'll crumble under the weight of her chaos. Like I always did, that I'd step in to fix everything, because that's who I'd been for her. Reliable, predictable, her safety net. But not this time. You need me, I ask, my voice ice cold. Let me tell you something, Lisa. The man who got you pregnant, that's the man you need. Go tell him you can't do this alone. See how that works out for you. Her face falls. For the first time that night, see real fear flicker in her eyes. She opens her mouth to speak, but I hold up a hand, cutting her off. No, I'm done. You've spent a year lying to my face. And now you think you can just what? Dangle your mess in front of me and expect me to clean it up. Because Andrew isn't ready for responsibility. Shake my head, laughing bitterly. Guess what, Lisa? Neither am I. Her voice rises, panicked now. You don't mean that, Benjamin. You're upset, I get it. But this isn't you. You don't just walk away. That's exactly what I'm doing, I snap. My voice steady despite the fire raging inside me. Because I've spent 6 years of my life trying to be the man you said you wanted. I built a life for us. A life you apparently couldn't stand because it didn't make you feel alive. Her tears come again, streaking her cheeks as she reaches out to grab my arm. Benjamin, please. I'm sorry. I'll fix this. I'll end it with Andrew. I'll do whatever you want. Pull away, her touch making my skin crawl. End it with Andrew, I repeat, incredulous. Don't you get it, Lisa? It's already over. You killed us the moment you decided. Your little fling was more important than your marriage. For a moment, she just stands there, her mouth opening and closing, like she's searching for the right words, but can't find them. When she finally speaks, her tone is sharp, biting, like she switched gears entirely. So that's it, she spits. You're just going to give up on us? On me? After everything we've been through? I laugh, a short, bitter sound. Give up on you? You gave up on us the second you let him into your life. You want to know what I'm giving up on, Lisa? I'm giving up on being your second choice, your fallback plan, Your safety net? Because that's all I've been to you for a long time, hasn't it? She says nothing, and the silence is damning. Take a deep breath. My chest tight with a mixture of rage and sadness. Here's what's going to happen. I'm leaving tonight. I'll grab what I need and get out of your way. You can keep the house. The furniture. All of it. But we're done. And don't even think about calling me when Andrew flakes, because I won't be here to pick up the pieces. Her tears are flowing freely now. She looks genuinely shaken, but I don't care. Can't care. Not anymore. You don't mean this, she whispers, her voice trembling. Yes, I do, I say firmly. And if you had any respect left for me at all, you'd let me walk away without trying to guilt me into staying. For once, she's silent. No more excuses. No more deflections. Just silence. Go upstairs. Grab a bag. Throw in the essentials. Don't even care what I take. Clothes, toiletries, a few documents. Everything else can rot here with her. Walk back down the stairs. Lisa's still standing in the kitchen, her hands gripping the edge of the counter, like it's the only thing holding her up. She doesn't try to stop me. Pause at the door. Look at her one last time. You've made your choices, Lisa. Now I'm making mine. And with that, I walk out. Slam the door behind me as I drive away. My heart feels heavy, but there's also a strange sense of relief washing over me. For the first time in years, I'm not carrying the weight of her expectations, her lies, her manipulations. For the first time, I'm free. The drive is silent except for the hum of the engine, but my mind is a riot. Every word Lisa had said, every twisted justification, echoes in my head like a relentless storm. Andrew makes me feel alive. The phrase burns into me, raw and festering. Pull into a motel parking lot, few miles from the house. It's small and unremarkable, the kind of place you only stop at when you have nowhere else to go. The neon vacancy sign flickers above me. As I sit in the car, gripping the steering wheel so hard, my knuckles turn white. This wasn't how my life was supposed to turn out. Check in with a fake smile plastered on my face, the clerk barely glancing at me. As she hands over the key, the room is as basic as I expected. A creaky bed, an old TV, and a smell I can't quite place, but don't want to identify. It doesn't matter. I'm not looking for comfort. Just need space. Drop my bag on the floor, collapse onto the bed, stare at the ceiling, my body still buzzing with adrenaline. That's when it hits me. An overwhelming wave of grief and anger, colliding all at once. My wife, my life, a lie. Grab my phone out of reflex, scrolling aimlessly through old photos of Lisa and me. Vacations, anniversaries, lazy Sundays, memories that now feel like someone else's story. The betrayal is a wrecking ball, smashing through everything I thought I knew. Then a text comes in from her. Lisa, please, can we just talk? Stare at the screen, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. What was there to say? She wanted to talk, but every conversation we'd had for the last year had been a lie. About to type a response, something angry, something scathing, but then another message comes in. Lisa, I told Andrew, you know. He's furious with me. He thinks I ruined everything. Freeze. Rereading the text, the audacity of it, the sheer lack of self-awareness, sends a fresh wave of fury through me. She isn't reaching out because she regrets what she did. She's reaching out because Andrew is mad at her. Unbelievable. My phone buzzes again. Lisa, I don't know how to fix this, Benjamin. Please just call me. I need you. The nerve. After everything she had done, she still thinks I could be the one to fix her mess. My hand tightens around the phone. As I consider my options, could block her, shut her out entirely, or I could respond, give her the verbal lashing she so clearly deserves. But before I can decide, another message lights up my screen. This one from an unknown number. Unknown. Hey man, I think we need to talk. Unknown. It's Andrew. For a moment, think I'm hallucinating. Andrew? What kind of sick game is this? My pulse quickens. Stare at the message, heart hammering against my ribs. What the hell does he want? Against my better judgment, I reply. Me, what could you possibly have to say to me? The response comes almost immediately. Andrew, I'm not trying to start anything. Andrew, I just think you should know the whole story. Hesitate. Do I even want to know more? What could he tell me that I haven't already pieced together? But my curiosity, dark and relentless, pushes me forward. Me, I'm listening. His reply is longer this time. Andrew, Lisa didn't tell you everything. Andrew, she's been lying to both of us. Andrew, she told me she was going to leave you months ago. Andrew, said your marriage was already over. Andrew, I didn't know she was still with you until recently. Stare at the screen, my stomach twisting. Is this some kind of ploy? A way to shift the blame? Me, why are you telling me this now? Andrew, because I just found out about the baby. Andrew, she told me it was mine. Andrew, but now I'm not so sure. Andrew, I think she's playing both of us. The room feels like it's spinning. Could this nightmare get any worse? Lisa had lied to Andrew too. Me. I don't want anything to do with her anymore. Me. She's toxic, man. Me. You don't deserve this. Me. None of us do. His words feel like a slap, but not because I disagree. He's right. Lisa is toxic. She'd manipulated us both, weaving a web of lies so tangled that even she couldn't keep track anymore. For the first time in hours, feel a flicker of clarity. I'm not going to let her drag me down any further. And as much as I hate Andrew, I can't ignore the truth in his message. Put my phone down, lean back against the headboard, my mind racing. Lisa isn't just a cheater. She's a manipulator, a liar, someone who had played us both for fools. And now it's time for her to face the consequences. Tomorrow I would call a lawyer. Wake up the next morning to the sound of my phone buzzing. For a split second, think it might be Lisa again. But when I check the screen, it's an unfamiliar number. Groan, debating whether to answer. But curiosity wins out. Hello? Benjamin, it's Andrew. Freeze. Hearing his voice outside of the cold neutrality of text messages makes my blood boil. Want to hang up? But something tells me to hear him out. What do you want? I ask, my voice flat. Look, man, I know you probably hate me, he begins, his tone unusually subdued. And I don't blame you, but I need to be honest with you about something. Lisa, she's not who you think she is. Let out a bitter laugh. Oh, I think I've got a pretty clear picture now, thanks. No, I mean, she's worse than you think, he says, his voice dropping. I found out she's been seeing someone else. Not just you and me. There's a third guy. For a moment, think I'd misheard him. A third guy? I repeat, incredulous. Yeah, Andrew says, his voice laced with frustration. I confronted her about it last night. After I talked to you, she denied it at first, but then she admitted it. Apparently, he's someone she met at her gym. She's been sneaking around with him too. The room seems to tilt. Lisa's betrayal had already felt like the ultimate gut punch. But this was on another level entirely. You're telling me she's been juggling 3 men this whole time? I ask, my voice rising. Yes, Andrew replies. Can hear the anger in his voice now too. She's been lying to all of us. And I don't think the baby's mine or yours. I don't even think it's the gym guys. She's a mess, man. She's using us all. Sit down on the edge of the bed, my hands trembling. This isn't just infidelity. It's something deeper, more calculated. Lisa isn't just selfish. She's a serial manipulator. Someone who thrives on playing people against each other. I don't know what her endgame is, Andrew continues. But I figured you deserve to know. I'm cutting her off completely. You should do the same. Don't respond right away. My mind is racing, piecing together everything I'd learned over the past 24 hours. Lisa's coldness, her lies, the sudden pregnancy. It all fits together like some grotesque puzzle. I appreciate you telling me, I say finally, my voice strained. But I don't think you're doing this out of the kindness of your heart. Why now? There's a pause on the other end of the line. Because I realize she's toxic, Andrew admits. And because I'm not letting her drag me down anymore. She's your wife, Benjamin. I thought you'd want to be the one to handle her. His words hang in the air like a challenge. After the call ended, sit in silence, staring at the peeling wallpaper of the motel room. My anger burns hotter now, fueled by this new revelation. Lisa had used me, Andrew, and God knows who else. But what she didn't realize was her little game was over. Grab my phone and start looking up lawyers. If she thought I was going to roll over and let her control the narrative, she was in for a rude awakening. When I dial the first number, a sharp professional voice greets me. Law offices of Wilson and Parker, how can I help you? I need to speak with someone about filing for divorce, I say, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. The receptionist transfers me to one of the attorneys, a no-nonsense woman named Claire Parker. I explain the situation in as much detail as I can stomach, leaving nothing out. She listens patiently, occasionally interjecting with questions. Do you have evidence of the affair? She asks finally. Yes, I say. Tex and I can get witnesses if needed. Good, that will make things easier. And the pregnancy complicates things, but not as much as you might think. If the child isn't yours, we'll ensure that's documented. You won't be financially responsible. Hearing her say it so plainly is like a weight lifting off my shoulders. For the first time, feel like I have a clear path forward. After I hung up, leaned back in the chair, closed my eyes. Lisa thought she could manipulate me, guilt me, keep me tethered to her chaos. But she underestimated me. This wasn't just about ending our marriage anymore. It was about reclaiming my life and making sure she couldn't destroy it any further. The next few days are a whirlwind. Claire moves quickly, outlining the steps I need to take to secure myself legally and emotionally. From Lisa's wreckage, I provide everything I can. Texts from Lisa, the messages from Andrew, even some financial records. That proved I was the sole breadwinner in the marriage. Meanwhile, Lisa keeps trying to reach me. Calls, texts, voicemails. She alternates between begging for forgiveness and lashing out in anger, accusing me of being heartless for abandoning her. I ignore her, focusing on the task at hand, building a case strong enough to shut her games down for good. Then one evening she shows up at the motel. I'm sitting on the bed, scrolling through my emails. When I hear the sharp knock at the door, my stomach drops. Don't need to look through the peephole to know who it is. Benjamin, open the door. Lisa's voice is muffled but frantic. Consider ignoring her, but something in her tone catches my attention. It isn't desperation, it's anger. She isn't here to apologize. She's here to fight. With a sigh, I open the door. Lisa stands there, her eyes red and puffy, but her posture stiff with defiance. She storms in without waiting for an invitation. What the hell is this? She demands, waving a piece of paper in front of my face. I recognize it immediately. Claire had sent a preliminary notice of divorce filing to her earlier that day. This is me protecting myself, I say evenly. Her jaw drops. For a moment, she looks genuinely stunned. You're seriously divorcing me? Lisa, what did you think was going to happen? I ask, my voice sharp. You lied to me, cheated on me, and got pregnant with someone else's child. Did you really think I was just going to sweep it all under the rug and play house with you? Her face twists with rage. You're such a coward, Benjamin. Running away instead of trying to fix this. I laugh bitterly. Fix this? You've got to be kidding me. You think this is something that can be fixed? Lisa, you didn't just break our marriage. You torched it to the ground and danced on the ashes. She flinches at my words, but only for a moment. Then her expression shifts again. People make mistakes, Benjamin. That's part of being in a relationship. A mistake? I snap. Lisa, this wasn't a mistake. This was a calculated betrayal. You didn't just trip and fall into an affair. You carried it on for a year, and then you got pregnant, and now I find out there's a third guy involved. This isn't a mistake. It's a goddamn catastrophe, and you're the one who caused it. Her face goes pale. Andrew told you about that? Yeah, he did, I say, my voice cold. He told me everything. He's done with you too, by the way. Looks like your backup plan doesn't want you either. Her composure cracks. For the first time, I see real fear in her eyes. She isn't afraid of losing me. She's afraid of losing her control. You don't understand, she says, her voice trembling now. I was confused, okay? I didn't know what I wanted, but I know now. I want us, Benjamin. I want my husband back. I shake my head, a bitter smile on my face. No, Lisa, you don't want me. You want the stability I gave you, the safety, the convenience. But guess what? I'm done being your safety net. Her expression hardens again, her fear giving way to anger. You're going to regret this, she hisses. You think you're so much better than me, but you're not. You're just a bitter little man who can't handle being outshined. Outshined? I repeat, incredulous. Lisa, you're not shining. You're spiraling, and I'm not going to stick around and let you drag me down with you. She stands there, her chest heaving, her face contorted with rage. For a moment, thinks she might lunge at me, but instead she turns, storms out, slamming the door behind her. As I stand there, staring at the closed door, feel an unexpected sense of relief for the first time in weeks. I'm not angry or sad. I'm just done. This isn't my fight anymore. It's hers, and she can face the fallout on her own. The next day, I get a call from Claire. Her voice is calm and professional, but there's an urgency beneath it. Benjamin, I've been looking into Lisa's financials, she begins. You mentioned that she's been secretive lately, and I thought it might be worth checking out. Let's just say things are complicated. Sit up straighter. Gripping the phone tightly. What do you mean by complicated? She's in a lot of debt, Claire says. Credit cards, personal loans. It's significant. It looks like she's been funneling money into something, but I can't tell what yet. If I had to guess, she's been trying to fund her double or triple life. Without you noticing, the words hit me like a freight train. Lisa's betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was financial. She'd been siphoning away our resources to sustain her chaos. Can we prove this, I ask, my voice sharp. Absolutely, Claire replies. I've already started gathering the paperwork. If she tries to make a claim on your assets during the divorce, this will protect you. She won't walk away with a dime more than she's entitled to. The anger I'd been holding back flares up again. Lisa's recklessness was deeper than I'd imagined. It wasn't just me or our marriage she destroyed. She was trying to burn down everything in her path. Later that afternoon, while I'm still processing Claire's revelations, I get another text from Andrew. Andrew, hey, just a heads up. Andrew, Lisa's been trying to reach me. Andrew, she's saying crazy stuff about how you're threatening her. Andrew, thought you should know. Threatening her? My jaw tightens as I stare at the screen. It's another move in her manipulative game. She isn't just trying to guilt me into staying, she's trying to paint me as the villain. Call Andrew immediately. He picks up on the second ring. She's accusing me of threatening her now, I say. Skipping any pleasantries? Yeah, he replies, sounding just as frustrated as I feel. She called me last night after she left your place. Said you were yelling, that you slammed the door in her face. She's playing the victim card hard. Let out a bitter laugh. Of course she is. She can't stand losing control. Andrew hesitates before speaking again. Look, man, I know we've got no reason to like each other, but I thought you should know. She's also been talking to the gym guy. I ran into him at a bar last night, and he had no idea about you or me. He thought he was her only relationship. He's furious. Great, I mutter. So now she's got 3 pissed-off men on her hands. Yeah, and that's not all, Andrew adds. He mentioned something about her borrowing money from him. Big money. I think she's been stringing him along too. My chest tightens. Lisa isn't just reckless. She's dangerous. She's using people, lying to them, and now she's trying to cover her tracks by spinning a story about me being the aggressor. Thanks for the heads up, I say. I'm going to make sure she doesn't get away with this. Good luck, Andrew replies. You're going to need it. After the call, I sit in the motel room, staring at the wall. The Lisa I thought I knew was gone, replaced by someone I barely recognized. A woman who would stop at nothing to get what she wanted, even if it meant destroying everyone around her. But I wasn't going to let her win. Call Claire again, filling her in on the latest development. She listens carefully, her voice steady as always. This strengthens your case, she says. If she's been manipulating multiple people, it's going to be harder for her to spin this in court. But we need more evidence. Do you have any other witnesses or documentation? I'll find it, I promise. Spend the rest of the evening combing through old emails, texts, bank statements, looking for anything that could strengthen my case. What I find only confirms what I already knew. Lisa had been lying for far longer than I'd realized. A gym membership she'd never mentioned. Hotel charges on weekends I thought she'd been working late. Expensive purchases that didn't match anything in our house. The pieces were all there. They painted a clear picture. Lisa had built her life on lies, and now it was all collapsing around her. By the time I close my laptop, feel an unexpected sense of calm. This isn't just about divorce anymore. It's about holding her accountable for the damage she's caused. She thought she could manipulate her way out of this. She thought she could control me, Andrew, the gym guy, everyone. But she was wrong. This time the truth was on my side. The next morning I get a call from Claire. That sets the wheels in motion. We're filing today, she says, her tone brisk but firm. The paperwork is ready, and with the evidence we've gathered, we're in a strong position. Lisa won't see this coming. Hearing her say it so confidently gives me a strange mix of satisfaction and dread. I'd never imagined my life would come to this. Divorce. Legal battles. Uncovering layers of deceit. But there was no turning back now. Do it, I say. By midday, Lisa is served. I don't hear from her immediately, which is surprising. I'd expected another storm of texts, more attempts to manipulate me, or maybe even an unhinged voicemail. Instead, there is silence. It's unnerving, but I'm not naive enough to believe. It means she'd given up. Later that evening, I get a call from an unknown number. Expecting it to be Claire with an update, I answer without hesitation. Benjamin, it's me. Lisa's voice comes through, sharp and cold. Feel my stomach tighten. What do you want? I want to know why you're doing this, she snaps. Divorce, really? You're blowing everything up over a few mistakes. I laugh bitterly. I'm blowing everything up? That's rich coming from you, Lisa. You cheated on me for a year, got pregnant with another man's child, lied to my face, and now you're blaming me for ending this mess. Her voice rises. Defensive and furious. You're not even giving me a chance to make things right. You're acting like you're some perfect saint. But let's be honest, you've never been able to handle me being more successful than you. Clench my jaw, her words cutting deeper than I wanted to admit. She always knew where to hit, and this was no exception. But I wasn't about to let her spin this into another one of her twisted narratives. This isn't about your career, Lisa, I say through gritted teeth. It's about your choices. You destroyed our marriage, not me, and now you're trying to paint yourself as the victim. Save it for someone who's dumb enough to believe you. The line goes silent for a moment. Can almost hear her calculating her next move. Fine, she says finally, her tone icy. If you want to play dirty, we'll play dirty. But don't forget, I know things about you too, Benjamin. Things that won't look good in court. I laugh again, the sound harsh and humorless. Go ahead, Lisa. Try whatever you want. You don't scare me anymore. Her silence tells me she wasn't expecting that response. For years, she'd relied on her ability to intimidate and manipulate me, but now she was facing someone who wasn't playing by her rules anymore. "You'll regret this," she says, her voice low and venomous. Before hanging up, I sit there for a moment, the weight of her threat sinking in. But instead of fear, I feel a renewed sense of determination. This was the real Lisa, vindictive, calculating, and willing to do whatever it took to come out on top. The next day, Claire calls with an update. "We filed the paperwork and sent over everything to her lawyer," she says. But here's the interesting part. Her financial records show she's been moving money around in ways that could raise some legal questions. If we dig deeper, we might uncover something criminal. "Criminal?" I ask, my pulse quickening. Claire hesitates for a moment. "It's too early to say for sure, but there's a chance she's committed fraud. If that's the case, it could impact more than just the divorce settlement." The thought of Lisa facing legal consequences for her actions was both satisfying and sobering. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about holding her accountable for the mess she'd created, not just in my life, but in others' lives as well. As the days went on, the silence from Lisa didn't last. Her texts and calls started again, each one more desperate and erratic than the last. She swung wildly between anger, begging, and threats, her words a chaotic spiral. That only confirmed what I already knew. She was losing control. One night as I was going through more of our old financial records, my phone buzzes with yet another message from her. "Lisa, I know you're trying to ruin me. Lisa, but you don't know everything. Lisa, I still have things I can use against you. Don't reply." There was nothing left to say. She could try all the threats she wanted, but I wasn't playing her game anymore. Instead, I forward the message to Claire. "Let's add this to the file," I write. The longer this dragged on, the more I realized something. Lisa wasn't just trying to save face. She was terrified of being exposed. She'd built her life on lies, and now her house of cards was collapsing around her. And for the first time in years, I wasn't the one holding it up. It didn't take long for the legal process to become a battlefield. Lisa, true to form, came out swinging, filing her own response to my divorce petition. That was filled with baseless accusations. She claimed I was controlling, neglectful, and emotionally abusive, all lies designed to paint herself as the victim. Claire called me as soon as she saw the filing. "Don't panic," she said. "This is textbook manipulation. She's trying to force you to settle on her terms. We're not going to let that happen." Her calm reassurances helped, but the anger bubbling beneath the surface was harder to tamp down. Lisa wasn't just trying to save herself. She was trying to bury me. But then the scales tipped. Claire called me again 2 days later, her tone more urgent this time. "Benjamin, we found something," she said. "What is it?" I asked, leaning forward in my chair. "It's about her financials. Remember how I mentioned the possibility of fraud? Well, it's worse than we thought. Lisa's been embezzling money from her employer." I blink, the words taking a moment to sink in. "She's what?" "We found transfers from her company's accounts into her personal account. They're small enough that they might not have been noticed yet, but over time it adds up to a substantial amount. If her employer catches wind of this, she could be facing criminal charges." I sit back stunned. Lisa's betrayal had already been catastrophic. But this was on another level. "What do we do with this?" I ask. Claire pauses for a moment before answering. "For now, we document it. We don't want to blow this up prematurely, but it gives us significant leverage. If she continues to make baseless claims or refuses to negotiate, we'll use this to force her hand." The idea of holding something this explosive over Lisa was both exhilarating and terrifying. She had spent months, maybe years, manipulating and lying, but now the noose was tightening. That evening, I received another text from Lisa. "Lisa, Benjamin, I'm sorry. Lisa, I've been thinking about everything. Lisa, and I want to fix this. Lisa, let's talk, please." It was a stark contrast to her earlier threats, and it reeked of desperation. But I wasn't falling for it. Forward the message to Claire. Without a second thought, the following week, during a preliminary mediation session, Lisa shows up looking more put together than I'd seen her in months. She's wearing a crisp blazer and a carefully practiced expression of calm, but her eyes betray her nerves. Claire and I sit across from her and her lawyer in a sterile conference room. As the mediator begins outlining the process, Lisa interrupts, her voice trembling with fake sincerity. "Benjamin," she says, turning to me with wide, imploring eyes, "I don't want this to get ugly. Can't we just find a way to work this out without tearing each other apart?" I don't respond immediately. Let the silence stretch uncomfortably, then lean forward, my gaze steady. "Lisa, the time for working things out was before you lied, cheated, and betrayed me. This isn't about tearing each other apart. It's about ending this mess you created." Her face reddens, but she quickly recovers, glancing at her lawyer for support. "I've already admitted my mistakes. I don't know why you're trying to punish me like this. Claire steps in smoothly. This isn't punishment, Lisa. This is accountability. Benjamin isn't interested in dragging this out, but he also won't accept a settlement. That ignores the facts. If you want this to go smoothly, I suggest you reconsider your position. The rest of the session is tense but uneventful. Lisa's lawyer tries to downplay her actions, but Claire dismantles every argument. With the calm precision of a surgeon, by the end, Lisa looks visibly shaken. Afterward, as Claire and I leave the building, she turns to me with a rare smile. She's on the ropes. If she doesn't come to the table with a reasonable offer soon, we escalate. Her financial misconduct will be impossible to ignore. I nod, feeling a strange sense of closure beginning to form. Lisa's web of lies was unraveling, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I wasn't the one caught in it. The storm she had created was finally catching up with her, and I was ready to watch it all come crashing down. That it didn't take long. For Lisa's facade to start crumbling, Claire was relentless. Filing motions and requesting documentation, that left no room for Lisa to hide. Every time her lawyer tried to maneuver around the truth, Claire countered with irrefutable evidence. The financial records, the affair, the pregnancy. It all painted a clear and damning picture. A week later, I got a call from Claire, her voice blunt. Her employer was contacted, she says, not by us, likely by someone within her company who noticed the discrepancies. They've launched an internal investigation into the missing funds. My stomach drops. This was bigger than I had anticipated. Lisa's recklessness had spiraled out of control, and now she wasn't just dealing with the fallout of our divorce. She was staring down the possibility of criminal charges. Do you think she knows yet? I ask. She'll find out soon enough, Claire replies. And when she does, I expect she'll either fight harder or fold completely. Either way, we're ready. That evening, my phone buzzes. With a call from Lisa. Against my better judgment, I answer. Her voice is trembling, a mix of panic and fury. How could you? She screams. You're trying to ruin my life, Benjamin. Clench my jaw. I didn't do this, Lisa. You did. You stole from your company. You lied to me. You cheated, and now the consequences are catching up with you. Don't act like you're innocent in all of this, she spits. You're vindictive, Benjamin. You've always been vindictive. Take a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. I'm not vindictive, Lisa. I'm just done protecting you. You've been playing games with people's lives for years, and now it's over. Her tone shifts, desperation creeping in. Please, Benjamin, you don't have to do this. We can still fix things. I'll drop the pregnancy claim. I'll agree to whatever settlement you want. Just don't let this ruin me. I pause, the sheer audacity of her plea leaving me speechless. Ruin you? I repeat, my voice low. Lisa, you ruined yourself, and the only person who can stop it now is you. Take responsibility for once in your life. The line goes silent, but I can hear her shaky breathing. Then, without another word, she hangs up. The next day, Claire calls with an update. Her lawyer reached out, she says. They're offering to settle. It's a substantial shift from their original position. She's desperate to avoid a court battle. What's the offer? I ask. My heart pounding. They're proposing to forfeit any claim on your assets, including the house, in exchange for a no-fault divorce. She's also agreeing to waive spousal support. I'm stunned. Lisa had fought tooth and nail to preserve her control, but now she was willing to walk away with nothing. It was clear the walls were closing in on her, and she had no other option. Do we accept? I ask. My voice hesitant. Claire's voice is steady. It's your choice. If you're satisfied with this outcome, we can finalize the settlement and end this. But if you want to push for more, especially given the financial misconduct, we can do that too. Take a long moment to think. Part of me wants to push further, to make Lisa face the full weight of her actions. But another part of me, the part that had spent months clawing my way out of the wreckage, just wants to move on. Let's take the deal, I say finally. I'm ready for this to be over. Claire agrees, and the paperwork was filed the next day. Lisa's lawyer sent back the signed documents. Within hours, it was clear she wasn't going to risk dragging this out any longer. That evening, I sit alone in my motel room, staring at the final divorce papers. The weight of everything I'd been through, the betrayal, the anger, the heartbreak, felt lighter somehow. Lisa was no longer my wife. The paperwork confirmed what I'd already known in my heart. Our marriage had died long before the ink dried. I pack up my things from the motel, move into a small apartment across town. It isn't much, just a one-bedroom with creaky floors and old appliances, but it's mine. For the first time in years, feel like I have control over my life again. The silence is strange at first. There are no late-night arguments, no passive-aggressive remarks, no sound of Lisa moving around the house. as if she owned the world. It's just me and the quiet, and it takes some getting used to, but slowly I start to embrace it. Throw myself into work, taking on extra projects to keep my mind busy, join a gym, partly to stay healthy, partly to channel my lingering anger into something productive. Even start seeing a therapist, a decision that felt awkward at first, but soon became a lifeline. Talking to someone who didn't know Lisa, who wasn't tangled up in the mess she'd created, gave me a clarity I hadn't realized I needed. Lisa, meanwhile, was unraveling. I heard through mutual friends that her employer's investigation had concluded she was fired, and rumors swirled about pending legal action for the money she had embezzled. Andrew had cut ties with her completely, and the gym guy, the supposed third man, had publicly confronted her, leaving her humiliated. In front of her social circle, she tried reaching out to me one last time. It was a simple text. Lisa, Benjamin, I'm sorry for everything. Lisa, I don't know what to do. Lisa, please, can we talk? I stared at the message for a long time, my emotions swirling. There was a time when I would have jumped at the chance to fix things, to be her savior, but that time was gone. I didn't respond. In therapy, I talked about her text and what it represented. My therapist said something that stuck with me. Her apology isn't about you, it's about her. She's trying to absolve herself of guilt, not make amends. You don't owe her anything. It was the final piece of the puzzle for me. I wasn't responsible for Lisa's choices. I wasn't responsible for her downfall, and I wasn't going to let her pull me back into her chaos. Months passed. The anger and hurt didn't disappear overnight, but they faded bit by bit, replaced by a growing sense of hope. Started reconnecting with old friends, the ones Lisa had pushed away. With her endless need for control, even went on a few dates. Nothing serious, just casual coffee outings, but it felt good to remind myself that there was life beyond the wreckage she'd left behind. One evening, as I was walking home from work, stopped at a park, sat on a bench watching the sun set. Over the horizon, for the first time in a long time, felt a sense of peace. Lisa had tried to destroy me. She had lied, manipulated, and betrayed, leaving scars that would take time to heal. But she hadn't won. I had survived her storm, and now I was rebuilding, stronger, wiser, and determined to live a life that was finally my own. As I sat there, feeling the cool evening breeze on my face, I realized something. This wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one where I wasn't defined by betrayal or heartbreak, but by resilience and hope. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I smiled.